Ah, connect now for chess. Hi, I'm heading to teach chess, and I want to talk to you about what is the lesson that I'm giving today here so that you can participate in learning chess. I'm going to talk today about the middle game. The middle game is when you are looking to gain material advantage. In chess, material advantage is when you have more power than your opponent. When we start off a chess game, we both have equal sides, equal material, the same power. We cannot win with the same power. It's like two frogs trying to drown each other. You cannot if they have equal strength. Only if you have more power can you win. In the top levels of chess, the best players will fight for even a single pawn advantage because they know that what they will do with that one pawn advantage is that they will trade material equally off the board that will highlight their advantage. Then they'll help that pawn in the end game to promote using the king or other pawns to protect side by side to promote most often to a queen. And then with a queen and a king against a king, you just take all the pieces and you go and checkmate that king, which I showed them last week. Endgame technique, pawn promotion, queen king versus king. So now we're talking about middle game. How do you get to the point where you're going to be ahead so that you can do all these wonderful things? You've got to be tricky. Well, you got to start by looking at your opponent's weaknesses. Before you move, look at your opponent's pieces and see if any of their pieces are hanging. Hanging means they're not protected by anybody, or they're underprotected, or you could capture pieces that are more valuable and trade advantageously. Take something more valuable and give something of less value. The more you do that, the stronger you get, the weaker your opponent gets. All right? How do you defend? What you do is do not leave your pieces unprotected or hanging. Don't have pawns out there all by themselves where they can be attacked and captured. Let your pieces protect each other. Knights should be connected, protecting each other. The bishops cannot protect each other, but because they're on opposite colors, but knights can protect bishops and vice versa. Pawns protect each other. Don't make a big piece sit around and take care of a little pawn, but if you don't have to. That piece should be going around attacking things and capturing things. What else? So yeah, defend your pieces. Pay attention to your opponent's last move. Notice what has changed. The dynamics change with every move. Take your time to move. When your opponent moves, reevaluate the board. See what has changed. When your opponent moves, don't look just at that piece that moves. Look at the pieces behind. Are you opening lines of fire for long distance pieces? For example, if you move a knight out of the way and you open up the bishop, that's a changing dynamic. Is that bishop now attacking something? Where is that knight going? Is that attacking something? What's it attacking? What is the threat? Identify the threat if there is a threat. And when you move, always try to make a threat if you can. If you're not having to defend. If you can make a move that serves multiple purposes in the same move, even better. If you make a move that defends and attacks and threatens, oh great, good for you. Try to use your pieces, maximize the strength of your pieces. Continue fighting for the center. Your pieces are stronger. Most of the pieces are stronger when they are away from their starting position. Every time the bishop moves closer to the center in embedded squares, getting closer to the center, gains 2 squares of power. So from starting out, it controls 7 squares, and then 9, and 11, and then center 13. Almost twice the strength from its 7 square starting position. I'm talking about the squares it can go to. So if you can take a piece and make it twice as strong just by putting in the center, why would you not do that? If you can. Same with the knights. When they start off, they can only go 3 squares. When they're a corner, they can only go to 2 squares. When you get them off that outer edge, now the center is bigger for the knights, as you got the 4 squares in the middle and the ones around. Any of those squares, if the knight's in there, it has the full range of motion to attack 8 squares. If you can go from controlling 3 squares to 8, I'm not saying you've almost tripled your power. That's a good reason to get your knights out towards the center. You're increasing your range. Queens. Queens gain power the way that bishops do in concentric squares. Starting position. If there's no pieces on the board with only the queen, you count out the squares she can go to, or is attacking, controlling 21. As you get into the next level, closer to the center, all around, in a square, she gains 2 squares, goes from 21 to controlling 23 squares, and then 25 squares, then 27, sorry, start from, I'm merging, and then at 29, the chessboard has 64 squares. If you have your queen in the middle, controlling 29 squares out of 64, she is controlling almost half the board. She goes from controlling 21 squares, a third of the board, to half the board. It's math. Your queen's stronger. Of course you don't want to put her in jeopardy. You don't want to put her where she's going to be attacked. People are afraid to use their most strong piece. They don't want to lose it. But the thing is, if you've got something strong, it's in your arsenal, use it. After you develop. Remember the values of the pieces. The pawns are worth 1. The knights and bishops are worth 3. Equal value. The rook is worth 5 points. The queen is worth 9, and the king has a power of about 4, but he never leaves the board. You cannot capture the king. You must trap the king and checkmate the king. Review checkmate. We talked about it. When the king is in danger, when your opponent's piece is in line, aiming at the square that the king is on, that is called check. When you're in check, you must get out of check. You cannot make any other move if it does not get you out of check. I see beginners, they are in check, and they move something else and they're still in check. That's an illegal move. You must take it back and get out of check, and then go forward, if you can. Best ways to get out of check are to capture the attacking piece, if you can, if it makes sense, if you don't lose value. Block the check. Put something in the way of lesser or equal value to the attacking piece, such that if they decide to trade, you don't lose material. You cannot block a knight check. Knights jump over pieces. Kings can never be close to each other. Not side by side, not in a diagonal close. Because that's called moving into check. If your king gets close to the other king, it's illegal. They must step away from the king and make a different move. Touch move, I talked about. If you touch your piece, you gotta move it. If you touch the piece, you are committed to moving it. And once you release it on a square, you're committed to that square. There's no takebacks. So think before you touch your pieces. If you take your piece and you touch your opponent's piece and you can capture it, you must take that piece. You cannot put your king in check. Castle early on. King side is faster. Get your knight and bishop out of the king side. Make space, 2 empty squares between the king and the rook. Move your castling is the only time you can move 2 pieces in one move. You move the king if he's never moved, and a rook that has never moved before. If you take your king and you move your king, even if you go back to the starting square, you have lost your right to castle. That is a disadvantage. An advantage for your opponent. Because now your king's out there and it's going to be less safe. It's a way to gain a micro advantage. It's not a micro advantage, it's a big advantage. King safety is very important. Alright, you cannot castle if you are in check. You cannot castle out of check. You cannot castle and capture something. You cannot castle and have your king pass through a square that is under attack. Can't castle through check, in check, or into check. Can't castle into check. What else? What you castle is you touch your king first. If you're playing a computer or even a tournament, if you touch your rook first, you can't castle. You have to make just a rook move. They don't know you're going to castle. You have to move your king first, especially if you're playing on the computer. 2 squares, and then the computer will put the rook, jump over and land next to the king on the other side. That's one move, you're done. Castle like this. King over, rook there. Don't do it like this. This is sloppy. King like that, that. Over. 2 squares, rook over. Side by side with it. And now the rooks, ideally, will be protecting the king in the back row. Do not move the pawns on your castle side way out, because you'll have an open castle and your opponent will have access and gain, you'll create weaknesses in your castle and openings for your opponent to get close to your king and possibly checkmate you. It's dangerous. Always keep a minor piece, at least 1 or 2 minor pieces to defend, and have pieces out there to attack. So you got defense at home, protection at home, and attack. Always think defensively and aggressively. What else? Oh, okay. Double attacks. Winning material. We've got forks. This is when a knight fork is when a knight's attacking 2 pieces. Could be, it's a double attack. It could be a combination of anything. It's a double threat. A knight could be threatening to checkmate or threatening to take a valuable piece. If you try to save the valuable piece, you're going to get checkmated. So it's very nasty. Always look for double attacks because it's a way to win material. And it's a very aggressive thing. I need to find out where I'm going. That's the chess lesson. Bishops, all the pieces can do double attacks, especially the queen. Okay, I'm going to go to the left. I got to merge. I'm going to set up double attack position. Find the double attack. Win the queen with a double attack in 2 moves. Check, attack the queen. King gets out of check, take the queen. Something like that. And then skewers, when pieces are lined up in the same rank, file, or diagonal. The board is set up in ranks and files. Ranks go horizontally like this, and they are numerated. No, they use the alphanumeric system. Ranks go like this. First rank, second rank. White sets up pieces on first and second. Black sets up pieces on the 7th and 8th rank. We learned that. Each square has a name based on a letter and number, based on its rank and file. Files are marked by letters, A through H. Ranks are marked by numbers 1 through 8. When pieces are lined up in the same rank, you can use a rook to attack them side to side or straight up. You can also use a queen, if it makes sense. Try to avoid lining up valuable pieces in the same rank, file, or diagonal when your opponent has a piece that can take advantage of that too and win valuable pieces. Even little pawns can do forks. They can move forward, attack your king and queen, check, and you win the queen. So look for pawn forks. How to avoid pawn forks. Do not put your valuable pieces in front of pawns. Let pawns fight with pawns. I need to merge. I don't know what to say. Knight, bishop, okay, skewers. We're going to do discover attacks. I got a lot of material to cover, so I hope everybody comes in, sets up their backpack, and sits down and just listens. That'd be nice. Thank you. Thanks for nothing, by the way, asshole. Indiana. Oh, Indiana? That's how you do it in Indiana? Indiana wouldn't let me merge. Thank you, Indiana. Asshole. I merged. If someone puts their hand out and asks you, can I go in front of a lady in front of a man? Oh, no, asshole. So, I'm not going to use profanities in the class, but, call it what it is. It's like, fuck you. Common courtesy on the road. Take turns. Yield. Give me a break. Your time. I know your time's important. I'll ask you a favor. You don't let me merge, next person does. As I was saying, skewers. What's the difference between a skewer and a pin? In both situations, you got pieces lined up in the same file rank or diagonal. But with the skewer, you're attacking the king first, and then the piece behind is of value. The king has to get out of the way, and then you win the piece on the other side. With a pin, you're attacking the piece first, and then on the other side is a value piece or the king. So it's just switching them around, which piece you're attacking. The problem is they're both in the same line. Again, avoid having a piece in the same line and watch for it. Discover attack, I will have to show it on the board, and they're going to have to be, they might not have time for us today. But this is a skewer. No, skewer. A discover attack is when your pieces line up against something, a threat. It could be against a king, against a value, against any other kind of threat, hanging piece. And you move your own piece out of the way. Let's say you got the bishop lined up against the king, but you've got your own knight in the way. You move it out of the way, opening the line to the bishop to check the king, and take that knight. Oh, and why don't you go attack something for free? Because you're going to win it, because this guy's going to have to get out check. So you can take the knight and go, hey, to look to attack the queen, look to attack a rook, look to attack, if you're using a knight, look to, if you want trade, look to attack a bishop, force a trade. If you're on material, look to attack a hanging piece, take a free piece. But you have to set it up. So first you can line up a rook. I'm going to put a bishop in the way, line up the rook with a king, put a knight in the way, and then use it to do this discover attack. Discover attacks are beautiful because it shows the synchronicity, a teamwork of your own players working together. A combination of moves that end up in you gaining material. That happens in the middle game. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. All these things, and hopefully by then they'll play. And then a game, and use some of these things I showed them. I give them a healthy snack. I bought them apples today. Bless their little hearts. Last time I bought them donuts. They're running around like, it affects them. It's like kids, when they are fed donuts, or anybody, it affects your system. Sugar is not your friend. Not a teacher's friend, nobody's friend. They don't need it. I don't need to feed it to them. It's cheap. I got them something better quality. I got them apples. An apple for me too, and other teachers and so forth. We're going to set a good example. Diet nutrition. Why is diet nutrition important? Because, well, chess is a sport. You're sitting across from somebody, and if you're tired, you don't have the right energy, you haven't eaten your breakfast, you haven't had enough water, you have not rested. These are all disadvantages on your opponent. You're not going to be thinking clearly because your brain, unfortunately or fortunately, is attached to your body, and so you have to take care of your health. You have to be an athlete. Treat yourself like an athlete because that's what you are. And are you trying to cross the road there? Okay. Anyway, it's not a pedestrian walk. Go up to one of the pedestrian places. Anyway, treat your body. Poker players, the best poker players, they understand same idea. They're in good shape. They're not heavy obese. You're not consuming alcohol, sugar, calories. Some of the best poker players just sit down and eat an apple. They have very good diets, and it's an endurance thing. It takes hours and hours that you don't have to sit. You can get up, you can stretch, get fresh air, walk around, circulate, recognize, energize yourself, oxygenate yourself, feed yourself, take care of yourself, because that is your vehicle for your mind. And it's what helps your light up your energy in your brain, and makes you a better thinker. I didn't sleep that well. I'm not thinking that well, and I noticed the difference. So for kids, it's very important they get, all the nutrition they need, and they're growing. They need more calories, and I'm going to give them something, at least an apple. It's got fiber. It's refreshing. It's natural. It's healthy, and it's just going to be better. And crackers. So. All right, teacher's parking lot. That's not here. I'm going to take my sign off for the Yana show because I don't want the kids to see my show. It's for adults. I don't want kids. I'm not promoting my show. They don't even know I have a show. It's like, and I keep it that way. Park in the back of the lot. Take my sign off. I'm not doing the Yana show. I'm putting on a different hat. I am now teaching chess. And enough with the fun games. Party's over. It's like I have my life when I'm not with kids, and then I have my life when I'm a kid with the kids, and I'm a serious person and to be taken seriously. And don't watch my show. Not till you're old enough, all right?